Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast. I got 2 clips for you from the same episode of JRE. It's a Protect Our Parks episode, and what the boys are listening to and talking about is a congressional hearing that happened with the presidents of Harvard, Penn State, and MIT, and how these 3 presidents refused to condemn Jewish genocide calls that have been happening on their campuses. And why is that happening? Well, it's because of the woke mind virus that has been sweeping through the education system for at least the past 8 years. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I've said it time and time again that they will push inclusivity to the point of destroying other things, no problem. And this is just a perfect case of that. Do not forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got Soul Not For Sale. We got the certified pure blood shirt, and we got Public Enemy #1. Discount code is I am Coach Colin, all capital letters, all one word, 1 L in the name Colin. Now let's get to the clip.
Hot start. Glasses.
Do you ever wonder? How much time do you guys ever wonder about whether or not there's foreign influence in the way things are like discussed on college campuses?
Much less.
What do
than
you mean
you.
foreign influence?
I think there's been an ideological capture of colleges, and Yuri Bezmenov, the former KGB guy from the Soviet Union, when he defected, he talked about this like openly, that the Soviet Union has been trying to do this forever. They've been trying to demoralize America by infecting their educational institutions, and it's a multi-generational approach. You infect the kids with Marxism and Leninism in the universities, and then you indoctrinate them to these ideas, and then they go off and slowly start to seep into the workplace, and over the course of several generations, you completely diminish their confidence in democracy and what they think about America. You destroy all of the confidence that they have in America, and that's exactly what's happening.
Could be. When they're saying Osama bin Laden was correct.
I wish you would have said all that with the Asian mask.
I know, I couldn't. Damn it. The mask is it was like too hard to form sentences.
While you said, the only thing I was thinking of, oh, the weather outside. That's all I was thinking.
It's a great song.
Let's play the video, Jamie, because this video to me, it seems like this is like a great example of the madness.
Pull it up, J-Mo.
Of our current era. This is the madness encapsulated, because it's literally like the heads of some of the most prestigious educational institutions. These are the people that are teaching young people. These are the people that you take the brightest young minds that get to go to Harvard. The fucking watch. The brightest young minds that get to go to Harvard.
That's the school.
It's the fucking school. It's the intellectual peak in terms of the way we view really the world. Well, listen to what you're saying. Put the headphones on, boys. Fuck. We can always put the ears back.
Genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment.
Why is she smiling?
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer. Yes, Ms. McGill.
Is she a Jew?
I don't know.
This seems like a good Catholic.
Answer yes.
If it if the
yes
speech
or no.
becomes
Why is she smiling?
Conduct, it
Weird.
can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide?
She's getting worked up.
That's the best.
Speech is not harassment. This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill.
Must love this as a Jewish man.
For
Look at
the
this.
world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It's an easy answer.
It can be harassment.
She's
The answer
smiling.
is yes. And
Weird.
Dr. Gay at Harvard.
Listen to South Park.
This
is an episode of South Park.
Jesus Christ. Oh, wow.
Listen to this.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time.
Damn.
Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment.
Wow, they can't do it.
That is actionable.
Rhetoric
This is
Blair.
just ladies versus ladies arguments. No one's going anywhere. They're locked in, dude.
I've had a tough morning, too.
We need Herb Dean to stand them back up.
But this is, pause for a second. This is like literally one of the most clear things, if you would imagine in society. Just imagine 10 years ago, before any of this woke shit really took off.
Yeah.
Could you imagine there would ever be a time, before the Palestine thing, there would ever be a time where you would be in Congress, you would be on television, you'd be talking to the head of a university, not a wacky student, not some crazy person that's a part of some far left psycho organization, the fucking president. And they can't say that calling for the genocide of Jews, just Jews, period, is harassment. It's fucking insane.
Seems
weird.
It seems like textbook harassment.
It's way worse.
Calling for genocide seems like
calling for genocide.
Forget about black people. What if you said, I call for the genocide of Cambodians?
Yes.
They'd be like, no, you can't do that.
Right, insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Genocide of Filipinos.
Yeah, or if they go,
insane.
It's not harassment, it's evil, but it's not harassment. Harassment means this is more like...
If it's actionable. It's actionable means murder. You're literally talking about murder.
But that means if it's actionable
is murder.
That means if you have to commit genocide for it. But that means if you say, fuck black people, or I think black, then that's okay? Is that what she's saying too? I wish there was a follow-up question.
If it's actionable. She's saying if it's actionable. I mean, what the fuck is she saying?
It takes a lot for us four tards to be like, this is offensive.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So, Jamie, someone on Twitter...
So that is the first part. Now I'm going to move on to the next clip of this. But I want you to notice in this, in that clip that they were playing and listening to, which I am going to play at the end for you because, they were cackling and, talking over it and this and that. And it's a much longer exchange. So I'm actually going to play that whole thing for you. It's about 4 minutes. Now, if you notice something with their answers from what you were able to hear, they were all answering the exact same way. You notice that? They were all cut from the very same cloth. I'm pulling up the clip right now. They were all cut from the very same cloth. It was very interesting to watch how they were all answering exactly the same way. Here, let's get to this next clip.
Fox.
Well, now she's writing for the Daily Storm.
Bro, how wild is it that this is going on?
It's nutty.
We were talking about it last night, that it's a mind virus. It really is. Like, it has all the symptoms of a mind virus, but it just doesn't have, there's not like a bacteria that you can see in a microphone.
Well, it's the hierarchies are coming back to haunt them. It's like black woman is better than cis man.
Yeah.
Jew is white dude.
Is white.
So you can shit on him.
So there's no nuance. It's just white is bad, brown is good.
It's not just white. It's white in positions of power. And it's white in positions of power in a lot of key industries. Like, if you really think about the financial industry, the movie industry, the music industry.
Why aren't they protesting Jordan?
It's just they're good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, but because of that, that's why anti-Semitism is a weirdly accepted form of racism. It's a weird one, man. It's a weird one.
It's weird, too, because I grew up with Jews, so I kind of get it. but it's like, you can't take it that far. You got to go individual people.
You guys are successful, but you get the hate, and you don't get the oppression points either.
Yeah, you get no oppression points as a person of color.
You can only be minority owners.
Yeah, you're only a minority.
Yeah.
You don't even get to be one of the whites.
Exactly.
Yeah. We make our own country clubs. People are like, nah, we didn't like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, restricted. You guys run everything.
And
you're still not successful.
Currently the least sexual comedian.
It's just crazy, too,
Where's
because you can also see the perspective of people that think about the innocent Palestinians.
Yep.
And you go, this is insane. This bombing is insane.
Yeah.
And because of this one attack, now you're allowed to kill how many thousands of civilians? How many people got maimed?
It would have been funny if Israel just attacked Iraq.
Yeah, just went to a third.
Like we did after 9/11, just like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, what?
The 27-year-olds weren't alive during 9/11, so they don't remember any of this, or they're not of memory age.
Yeah, that's important.
So they were like, oh, they see Osama bin Laden's letters, like, yep, he should have attacked. They have no emotional connection to it.
Crazy.
Bro, but that's TikTok. I swear to God, I really do wonder how much of an influence. I want to think that some of it is just organic stupidity. But I do know that some of it has to be being influenced by other countries. And I think it's easy to do. I think we're so silly.
They're saying
when we're young, when we're getting taught by these fucking people in universities, so you get away from your Fox News dad, right? you get away from Shane Gillis. And you're Shane Gillis's kid, and you get to go to some fucking university and, call him up and tell him that everything's racist.
Yeah.
And my professor's smarter than you. And you're getting indoctrinated into these whole new sets of ideas.
You do have on Twitter and now on Threads the same post 75 different times.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And you're like, oh.
The bots.
Duncan told me this 10 years ago that he said 3/4 or half of whatever it was of all the anti-Star Wars tweets were Russian bots, just testing to see if he could drive us against each other
And it
for
worked.
when it mattered.
Dude, 19 of the
Duncan
top.
lies a lot. That sounded like a Duncan lie.
Dunkin'
Star
Donuts.
Wars?
Man, the fucking Star Wars thing's fake.
I don't think there is an Obi-Wan.
His wife gets in on it. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Great.
She
Oh,
was
yeah,
she
she's
was really
awesome.
funny. He was in there
She's
last
hilarious.
night. He was complaining about the karaoke, and I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "This just isn't real karaoke."
Look,
I
the
was like, "What do you
shadowing
mean?"
on the machine.
Yeah, and then his wife sat down and was like, "Oh yeah, this is not karaoke." I was like, "Oh, you're funny too, you fucker."
Oh, she's funny.
Yeah.
Even
She's
karaoke's
fun.
not real. That's a hilarious conspiracy.
That is hilarious.
It is nutty.
It's a
And both
wacky
sides
time.
will refuse
But-
to accept anything on the other side.
It's not going to end until shit like this happens. It has to hit a breaking point. I think we're getting there.
That thing about them
that's-
surrounding some Jewish student just trying to go to class
you
and
see
like
that video I
refusing to
sent
let him
you?
move. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you guys doing exactly?
This is at Harvard. Did I send it to you, Jamie? No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Send it to-
I sent it to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Our Parks group.
But it's just a kid going to class.
Just kids going
and
to
then just like
class.
harassing him because he looks like a Jew. He is one.
It's, but this,
I used to do
the
that in high school.
fact that this is
Hey, this is a
happening.
Jew.
Get him. He's probably going to class or some
I'd say,
shit.
"There's that motherfucker."
Where are you going to study?
And he'd say, "Is this about Palestine?" I go, "Where? What?
Never heard of it.
What the fuck is that? Dude, this is just good old
Trying to be a
Show me that
doctor,
on the map.
bitch. All right, I sent it to you, Jamie.
But hey, the Jews
This
are fighting
is-
back with the no money.
But this is Harvard.
no.
Yeah.
They're pulling all
This-
their money from all these colleges. So that's a good Jew
Well,
attack.
that'll end everything.
That's really the only way this is going to stop.
Yeah.
The only way people are going to wake the fuck up and like, what are you teaching these kids? And
Yeah.
why are they thinking
This
like
kid
this?
tries to duck
Look at
under
this.
and just go.
Very, very true. I mean, you know, it's the same thing with Bud Light. It's the same thing with what's happening with Disney right now. When you see how ridiculous a company or a school system gets, you have to minus yourself from it. Straight up. You just have to. You have to. You know, I was so happy the other day that I got this meat that is from small batch farmers. I was so happy. My ultimate goal is to be able to go hunt it myself. I was so happy that I didn't have to go to a grocery store. It was perfect. I've been so happy. I've been eating bison. I've been eating elk. I've been eating all sorts of things. It's so good. So good. But again, when you see that a system is, you know, for lack of a better word, toxic, getting toxic, you got to minus yourself from it. Even if all you do is spend $20 a month with that system, get your $20 out of there. So you'll see Jewish people start to do that with the school systems. And I hope, because I know so many Jewish people that lean to the left. And that is the ideology that you've been supporting. There you go. You didn't realize, I hope you do now, that's the ideology that you've been supporting this whole time. Where it gets to the point where, again, they're trying to be so inclusive that they will not condemn calls for Jewish genocide on their campus because they don't want to upset the Muslim students and the students that support Palestine. They want everybody to be heard, even if it's a call of genocide. You know, years ago, there was even a situation where black students, black and people of color, black, native, you know, all that stuff, they called for there should be a day where white teachers and white students can't come to the school, and it should only be people of color. And again, the school, the people running things, were so keen on being inclusive, so keen on being good people that they allowed it to happen. And somebody stood up. It was actually Joe Rogan's friend, I believe it was Brett Weinstein. He stood up to that and he said, "No, I'm coming in. This is crazy." And he didn't get attacked physically, but it almost got to that point. And I think he got reprimanded for that. How far is it going to go? I say it all the time. Inclusivity to the point of destroying things, right? I've been seeing it so much. But also, again, I just want to point out that those women, they were all saying the same thing because they're all cut from the same cloth. Exactly what you're seeing right now is exactly the same ideology that was ripping through BLM and everything that happened there, those peaceful protests. Exactly the same thing. I want to be inclusive. I don't want to dismiss black voices. Well, they're burning down, but the city's burning down. Well, you know, maybe it's the summer of love. That's what the mayor of Chicago said. It's a summer of love, mostly peaceful, right? How inclusive do you want to be? All you have to do is step in and say, "Hey, this can't happen on campus. End of story. Get off the campus while you do stuff like this. You want to do it? Do it. But get out of here. Go." That's it. Go be adults and go do that in the streets and possibly get arrested. That's it. That's all you got to do. but they didn't want to do that. And I don't think that they're doing this because they hate Jewish people. And I'm going to play that clip in a second. I forgot about that. Let me get to that clip. I don't think they're doing this because they hate Jewish people. I don't think so at all. I think they're doing this because it's another form of chaos. There's chaos in that. You're having people cause a further divide. We got the black and white divide out on the streets. It's deteriorating a little bit, but it's still there, nice and strong. We got the left and right divide. Now we got an Israel-Palestine divide. Perfect, because the Russian-Ukraine divide, that wasn't good enough. So now we got this divide. Perfect. Let it go on. Let it go on in the schools. And you know why? Because it causes chaos. And you know what happens if you get rid of chaos? You start to get order. And you know what happens when you get order? You start to get structure. And you know what happens when you get structure? You start to get calm. And what happens when you get calm? You start to get focus. And once you get focus, you start to see the things that are actually the problem, right? Then you can also, all of you can all of a sudden start focusing and say, oh, that institution, that government institution, what's going on there? And then once you have that, you have unity. And once you have unity, you have strength. And once you have strength, they got a problem. That's really why you're seeing this happen. Because it sounds like nonsense. It seems like you could just ask these three women, hey, can you just not allow for incitements of violence? You're not allowed to do that on any platform. I can't do that on this platform. You can't do that on X, and X allows everything. You can't do that on Rumble, and Rumble allows everything. But all of a sudden, when it comes to these prestigious schools, Ivy League schools, they're like, oh, well, it depends on the context and all, if there's action and this and that. The only thing that this can be, and I think Joe's right, it's the fact that for so long, all of these ideologies have been being pushed. And at first it was starting with the children, and the children have become adults, and now the adults are now running the school system, and they're in the government, and that's why you're seeing it all coming to a head, and it's getting so wild. Now, again, I'm going to play this clip because it was a longer interaction. It's about 4 minutes. Here you go.
Hornbluth, yes. At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
yes
speech
or
becomes
no?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
So, this is the same type of thing you've seen at the congressional hearings when the executives of Twitter were in front of, Congress, and they had to answer questions about, like, did you like censor people at the request of, X agency, I was going to say regime. I meant administration. And they'd be like, oh, I do not have knowledge of that. Oh, I do not. Like, they all stay in this very lockstep way. And everything that they've done has either led to censorship or chaos. They're all cut from the same cloth. Again, you're not seeing people. Those three women don't hate Jewish people. That's not the play here. Not at all. They don't hate Jewish people. They just don't want people. They want to have divide. They want to have chaos. They want it on the campuses. They want it in the streets. They want it in the supermarket. They want it in politics. Anything to keep away unity. Black and white used to be the easiest way of doing it. People of color and white people. That's it. It used to be the easiest way, but it's starting to fall apart. The internet really brought people together, and it started to fall apart a lot. It's still there a little bit, but it's starting to fall apart more and more and more. So they need whatever situation they can possibly get their hands on to continue a divide. They need the children. They need children to come out on the other side looking at white people as evil, looking at black people as people who can do no wrong no matter what happens, looking at cis white males as people who need to be taken out of power. They need the kids to leave school with these ideologies. So if all of a sudden you start telling them that they can't do things and you can't do that and you can't call for this, what's going to happen? These kids are young. They're going to end up coming together. They're going to end up having conversations like they should and start finding nuance, start finding common ground, and start looking at situations not so black and white. They don't want that. That's what we're really seeing here. It really is, like Rogan said, it's a woke mind virus. That's actually what it is. And it's not something that just spurred out of nowhere. It's been very intentional. Those women and their answers were very intentional. They were very much looking at things like, this is how we're going to answer. It was almost like they met up beforehand. Like, we're all going to stick. It was like they were being interrogated by the police and they were all like homeboys. They were like, oh, let's stick to the script. We're all going to say the same thing. Nobody gets in trouble. That's it. Let's just stick to the script. You're seeing that all over. You're not just seeing that with those three women. You're seeing it with governments. You're seeing it with executives of big tech. You're seeing it everywhere. And again, I go back to what I said before. They're trying to take you away. Chaos, take away chaos, it leads to order. You bring on order, it leads to structure. You bring on structure, it leads to calm. You bring on calm, it leads to focus. You leads to focus. When you have focus, you can have unity. When you have unity, you have strength, and then they have a problem. That's my TED Talk. Anyways, guys, like and subscribe. It helps the podcast so much. You have no idea. And hit up IamCoachColin.com. Discount code again is I am Coach Colin. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin, and I'm out.